fact. That was.
No more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
What's up, horror fiends? Your boy Ricky Grimes. We're back at it. October and Halloween is over, but not for us. It's Halloween 24/7 in this household. And I believe Joe and JR too, right, fellas?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're watching Three Corners of Horror here on Horror Fiend TV. Please give us that like if you enjoy our content. We would highly, really appreciate that. With that being said, let's get right into it, guys. This one is going to be a special one we've been dying to do. We finally got the chance to do it. What we're going to be talking about today, Barbarian, the 2022 film starring Justin Long, Georgia Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, and also Richard Brake, the Night King. Let's get right into this film because there's a lot to talk about. First, I got to introduce to you the mighty panel of Horror Fiend TV. JR, what's up, my brother?
I don't know, man. Interesting movie. Waited a long time to do it. Barbarian, or is it just, I don't know, splatter on the wall?
Is it Conan the Barbarian or is it fucking Thundar the Barbarian, right?
Oh, yeah.
That don't make any sense because I love Thundar. Anyway,
Thundar was great. Thundar was great.
I'll delete
Thundar. Don't delete it. Thundar was great.
Lords of Light. Oh, what's the best one? Demon Dogs. What up, Joe, the psychologist, brother?
What's up? What's up? Yeah, me too. I have been excited for this one. Rick doesn't do trailers or reads a lot of stuff. I do. So I have been excited. So let's see if Mother captured me or if I escaped.
I thought about that movie we were talking about. What's that movie with those two punks that got trapped in that? They got kidnapped, and one dude had to save his little brother or his boy. So,
Boy Next
the
Door,
boy behind
right?
the boy behind the door.
The boy behind the door. Yeah. Good shit. We forgot our own content. And we watch a lot of shit, man. Okay, mind you, we don't just watch horror films. We watch all types of like stuff, and everything bleeds. You know. Yes. Anyway. Good shit. Let's get right into it. Joe, the psychologist. We're gonna start with you, my friend. Fun fact: this film, me and JR saw it together, and this is my first theater experience, horror-wise, in a very long time. Trust me, it's my last. JR, you know what I'm talking about. So, Joe, when you first saw this film, what's your thoughts on this film, Joe?
First of all, I was a little jealous you guys saw it before me, and you saw it in the movie theater.
It's okay, man. Don't be jealous of that.
I enjoyed this film. One of the things I enjoyed the most out of this film is the Pulp Fiction editing of it. That was just like I love how, and it wasn't done in like Trick or Treat or in other movies where characters interconnect. They interconnect at the part where they're all kind of fucked. But you got all these little backstories. I love a well-crafted, well-written horror movie where you have all these sections and then you're like, boom, you're here. So this movie was, yeah. I have a high rating for this. It's going to depend on what I hear from you guys, how much higher my rating goes.
Right. How about you, GR? Now, me and you, obviously, we talked about it after the fact, but we saw it opening weekend, so time has passed. We saw it multiple times. How you feel about it right now, brother?
I'll tell you, the first time I saw it, all right, these two guys don't watch trailers. So,
oh, no, I do.
Well, the thing I told you guys is after when you watch this film, but if you watch the trailer deceives
Lied.
you. So anyway, which I love because the simple fact is trailers do tend to ruin a movie because they show way too much of the movie.
That's how you do a trailer.
What this movie did, the trailer they showed was basically, I would say, if you want to summarize it, maybe the first 10 minutes of the film.
Bro, try 10% of this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it made the trailer made one character look like the villain.
Yes.
Who was the villain, which was the best part that I loved.
Yeah, because you watch the trailer and you're led to believe everybody's sweetheart, us horror fans, one of our favorite actors, Bill Skarsgård, Pennywise, great job. Sorry, Tim Curry, but he did it better. Anyways,
Oh,
but
the joke.
Oh, my face. I forgot about my face.
but yeah, you're led to believe that he is the villain, that he's the one that's behind everything. But the minute what happens, something happens in the movie, you're like, holy shit, everything just goes a whole different way. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I agree with Joe. The way it was crafted story wise. I'm a big storyline fan as far as a movie goes, and you guys should know. But yeah, I thought this was done good. The different sceneries, the different timelines, at a certain
Yeah.
point. And yeah, I mean, this movie did a good job. And the variety of different characters, the way they were portrayed, really helped this movie out tremendously.
Yep.
Damn, whose house was that?
Oh, I
Mine.
heard
The pictures go by.
Somebody pulled up. Now it's funny because you mentioned Bill Skarsgård. If you look, his character Keith, they looked up. They pulled out his ID in this film, and it says he's 5'10". Motherfucker's like 6'4", bro.
Yeah, I know. He's tall as fuck.
Nah, but what I love about this film is, like you said, like I don't watch trailers, but GR said, yeah, watch the trailer. I watched it after the fact, and it's true, they don't give you much. Perfect. I think that should be the template of how to do a trailer.
Yes.
Now, we are a horror channel, but I'm gonna use Marvel as an example. Marvel don't need to have trailers to sell their shit anymore. But yeah, they still got this weird thing where they got to show you everything in trailer. I don't understand. But this film told you enough to get you into the theater. But what I loved about this film is, like you mentioned Pulp Fiction. I'm looking at it as this film here. It kind of reminds me of like From Dusk Till Dawn. So from Dusk Till Dawn, it starts one way, but it ends a completely different way.
Yeah.
It just keeps you on your toes. So this film, what I love about it, it has the fucking balls to constantly keep switching it up on you. You couldn't explain this to nobody. All right, what's it about? Well, what is it about? Because
yeah,
I like that. So Mother is a character in this film that truly is horrifying, to say the least. You know what I'm saying? So JR, man. So yeah, Mother, thoughts, sir?
I remember when me and you were watching this in the theater, and when Mother first
when I saw this film.
When Mother first appeared, we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The fact that what happened, she killed the beloved character of Bill Skarsgård in such a violent way. The funny part goes like, there's something down here. It bit me. And then when you see what it is, like that bit you, and I mean, his reaction towards it led you believe it's something else. But when she finally came on, basically bashed his face against the wall.
Smashed. I mean, like literally, like fucking pulverized. The eyeballs were out. That's how bad she smashed his face into that fucking wall.
But this is where I think the Mother character intrigued me. Is she became a sympathetic character halfway through the movie when you found out the background of what happened to her.
But by design.
Yes, and I thought that was intriguing because you don't get too many, let's be honest, she was an inbred monster, that you have a backstory that you actually feel bad for her, especially at the ending, which we'll talk about later. But Priscilla actually watched it. She was like, oh, I feel bad for her because here he is. Oh, she was like 40 years trapped in the house. Yeah, that was at the timeline, 40 years, right? Because that's what the guy said.
It was in the 80s. Well, it was in the 80s.
Right. Yeah.
About 40 years trapped in the house, watching the same video of taking care of babies and breastfeeding.
The breastfeeding.
Which is what messed up. Which is what messed up the trailer. Because the trailer had the sound of, this will be pleasant. You will enjoy this. So, and then again, you're like, so wait, so if they get captured, is this like some programming thing that's going on? So
yeah, it was so in the air. You didn't know what it was. But I like the character just because, like I said, it was a very sympathetic character and grotesque and the fact that you have this, she must have been like 6'5", almost 7 feet, and her, excuse the language, her, her boobs basically hang around all over the place, which
This,
reminded
hold on,
me
hold on. This guy said, "Excuse my language." Then he said, "Boobs."
boobs. Well, you know,
I
I'm
know.
just saying, she's running at you, and they're just like,
Bum bags,
yeah,
sweater kittens.
they're like this, and you're like, all right,
Breast.
all right, oh, come on, oh. So you, but yeah, I like the character, very sympathetic character. There's some cheesy scenes that even me and Rick and Theo were like, come on, man, but I think that's what made this movie unique as far as the mother character is. While she was grotesque, there was certain parts of the movie where it was playful and almost like ridiculous at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the mother character, especially the backstory. If Joe wants to talk about the backstory of it.
Go for it, brother.
Right. So, here's where you two are gonna have to sell me on this score a little higher. Mother was a product of inbreeding. This was the same thing in The Descent. This movie did remind me a little bit of The Descent, especially in the underground. Person lived underground. It was just, So it turns out that, and I didn't write down the name of the guy, but he was kidnapping women, raping them. Frank was kidnapping women, raping them, and then their kids would have other kids who would have other kids. So you had inbreeding who caused mother. So you had a lot of biological and psychological effects already off the bat affecting mother. But the mother character reminded me of the characters in The Descent. And because it was underground. But overall, the mother character kind of fucked me up a little bit. And I thought that it was actually Frank with prosthetic tits. I'm not even going to lie. I thought that Frank went so crazy that he watched this video because when he's shopping for this stuff, he's handed this video. And that's the video that's on replay. So I thought that maybe he watched it and he got like prosthetic boobs, trying to do this whole like kidnapping and like being a mother, being a father. But yeah, no.
That's the beauty of the film, though. It keeps you guessing.
It is. Like that's what I originally thought.
A lot of movies like that these
watch
days,
it,
man.
You realize once they explain, you're like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
But you have to remember one thing, though, and this wasn't really said in the movie, but you could almost make an assumption of it, is she was there for 40 years, locked up, right? He was constantly kidnapping women and raping them. So the kids that those women could have been having, mother could have been taking care of this whole time. And fortunately, they probably didn't survive because she could only take care of them for so long because she was so, remember, she was still like, what's the term I'm looking for? Oh my God, lactating this whole time.
Yeah.
So she was constantly, basically taking care of somebody. And to top it off, you had a whole town that was basically empty. So how many of the people around them did she basically kidnap and take? Because remember, the homeless guy was like, oh, she comes out at night. She's always coming out at night. So obviously there were some untold portions of this movie, but I think that's what actually makes the movie even slightly better. The fact that you don't know how many people's babies she took care of. One, why that area Brightmoor was basically abandoned. Was it because of her? Because even the lady she went to for the interview with, she was like, oh, you live in Brightmoor? No, you need to get out of it. You need to get out of it. So there was a bigger history in Brightmoor that this movie really didn't discuss at all.
The writer-director, Zach Krieger, in this film, he had stated that when he was writing this film, when they're above ground in the house, it's more of a David Finch movie, right? David Fincher.
Oh, I love him.
Once it goes into the underground, his whole mindset, okay, now it's Evil Dead. So like, it's so like, go back and read the writer director what his thought process was. Well, this is his first film, I believe, director, because he's actor.
I think it is.
He's done other things, but this is his first film written and directed that he's done himself. So he didn't outline anything. He just wrote how he wanted the story to go. And that's why it feels sporadic and everywhere. It's because he didn't want to follow no template. He wanted to do it his way. And I applaud that because that's what makes the movie unique and it's different. I love that, bro.
Yes.
I love that. Justin Long. Let's talk about AJ. Justin Long is a guy, bro. Jeepers Creepers, Tusk. I mean, this guy, that's just hard. Not to mention all the other comedy roles this guy has been in. Dragging Me to Hell.
Well, unfortunately, he's not horror's final guy. He's like horror's like victim. Like literally any horror movie he's been in,
he gets fucked
he's
up
been
and
the
everything.
victim.
Yeah,
He's never been like anything else but the person who's going to die in that movie.
Well, Joe, talk to us. Talk to us about Justin Long. AJ, how did you like his character and how did he portray it? What do you think? Because once I saw he was in this film, Justin Long, immediately like I got like this warm feeling. Oh, I love this guy.
So the victim in horror movies all of a sudden for me became a barbarian in this movie. Like I was actually I was a fan of the character that he played because generally he's always been the nice guy. And he was kind of a dick. He was an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a way that we see Justin play his characters. So it was different for me. When obviously he had that moment of remorse, watch the movie because there's other stuff with his story. So we don't have to get into that. But he had a moment of remorse and it sounded like he wanted to be helpful. And then they're getting away and he's all like, bitch, I'm out. He's like, I'm out. Catch up, run. Like he literally went from, oh, I want to help her out as in, and then later on, I mean, he fucking throws her off the top. So it was great to see Justin in a role that he's generally not in a horror movie because he is written as the nice guy.
Yeah.
So it just to watch it, you're like, and he's like, so I know how we can do this. I need to get away. Here he is, or here she is, and he just like throws her off. I'm like, did that just happen? Like his character, it went against everything that he's always played, which is what was the beauty in his role in this movie.
Brilliant. Jay, oh my boy.
Once again, this is where the trailer, you gotta love it because they did not show Justin Long not even once in the trailer.
Not once, huh?
You did not
No,
really
they
know
did.
he was
No, they
into-
did.
I thought they did. I could,
They
yeah.
did.
I-
They did.
well,
They
the first
showed him
couple-
underground, and him
Real quick.
going,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick. He was underground.
Yeah, because like the
Either way, though.
either way,
blinking,
it was,
you missed it. Yeah.
it was a. He wasn't really like we didn't know he was really into the movie until we seen the credits,
Mm-hmm.
and then when he showed up at the perfect time, like halfway through the movie. But what his character did, it went against all the tropes of the hero character, the hero male character, trying to save the female in the movie, and the fact that he played the character to the point that no matter what he did wrong, he thought he did something right. And so no matter if he was wrong, he thought he was right. There was even a scene, I'm not going to talk about it, definitely watch it, in the bar. When me and Rick were actually watching it when he had the conversation in the bar. And then Rick was like, dude just said me, he did something wrong. Act like that.
Real quick, that was one of those points in that movie where I realized he was playing a role that he's not played before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I'm like, you're an asshole.
The guy he was talking to was the director, too.
Yes.
Oh, was it? But like I've never found myself in a role that he's played where I went, you're an asshole.
No,
And when he got to that scene, I'm like, you're an asshole. Like literally whatever's gonna happen, you deserve.
Well, the thing too is when he showed up, it gave the movie a break. It gave the movie a break because you had the first couple like section of the movie was just serious, a little bit romantic, like drama going on. Then he shows up, gives you a little bit of the comedy and stuff. I mean, the fact that he did not know he owned this property was hysterical. Then when he gets there, he crashes, and then when he finds the basement, he starts measuring everything because he wants to add to the house. So he found the room. Now
he's measuring all the square footage.
That's how much a unit of an asshole he was. He was measuring it.
Technically, it's in the law, but that does not count.
But it shows just how the fact that at first he was kind of portrayed as maybe an innocent victim in something, and then you realize he's not.
No, it's funny. Yeah, got you. I was like,
oh yeah, no, it's funny because remember he heard a sound in the basement, and he goes, "I got a gun. I'll fucking shoot you. I got a gun." Goes down, finds the door. Then he finds the dirty mattress with the camera and then goes sits there. He sits on the dirty bed, just like
watching
looking
that video.
around. Yeah, and then starts measuring. Then he finds the other location, and then he goes, "Oh shit, yeah!" They start measuring down.
More square footage.
I mean, his character I loved in this film because, like Joe said, it was totally against Justin Long. It went against every single trope in a horror movie as the guy trying to save the girl. The scene Joe's talking about was they go on top of I think like a water tower.
The water tower, yeah.
And they're being followed after he gives this whole monologue out how he's going to change and fix things. He takes her, throws her, go get your baby. And then Mother, which was one of the cheesy scenes in the movie where she jumped right after Tessa.
Okay.
So when he goes down, he grabs the gun. And then he goes, "Oh, you're still alive? Oh, you're still alive? Oh, you have to understand that. You know, I had to get away. I did it for us. I did it for us. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." So no matter what he did, he was a pure asshole. But I think the freshness of his character in a horror movie added so much to this movie.
Closing thoughts now, fellas. It's that time. We talked about what we wanted to talk. Now, remember, guys, we ain't talking about every little detail in this film. So please, if you haven't seen it and you're still here, watch it. JR, closing thoughts. Now, anything you want to say that we haven't covered yet that you feel it's important, the floor is yours, bro.
What I liked about this movie a lot was like you had the three different story settings, like Joe said earlier. You had the three different story settings, two in the now, one that basically went into the past and showed a glimpse of who the Barbarian really was. And Rick mentioned this when we watched the movie because on the way back, we were trying to discuss who we thought the Barbarian was. And Rick had a good, synopsis on that, which I'm sure he'll tell you.
Wait on. You got to tell me what it was because
it was the one where you thought the Frank was really the Barbarian for everything he was doing and all the cages he had. And so that's what you had brought up when we left the theater.
It's crazy, yeah, because I don't feel that way anymore because after spending time in the movie. But yeah, at first, yeah.
So it's for me. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the cast. Very good cast. I love the setting. Like Joe said, Tessa arrives at night. Next day, freaking, she's in the middle of an apocalyptic zone, and then she wants to get out, but she has to land this job in order to get the money to really move. So she's stuck in this predicament. Mother was an interesting character. Justin Long's character really shined. I mean, the guy shines in anything he's in. If you want to watch him in a good film, watch Lavender on Amazon Prime. Excellent role in that movie too.
His death in this film has to be a homage to Jeepers Creepers, right?
Oh God, that's
he died the same way.
He lost his eyes again.
Yeah.
the freaking guy can't catch a break.
He can't. That's what's great about him.
Well, yeah, for me, I've been looking for a movie that all year long that I was gonna say was my favorite. I gotta tell you, this one definitely my favorite of the year so far. A great year of horror, but I put Barbarian number 1 for me. But I will give it a 4.5, not a 5. I'll give it a 4.5 because it did have certain flaws, but there was so much around it that this was a good movie to enjoy, regardless.
Good shout. How about you, Joe? What up,
Joe? Well, you know what we're gonna do? I want to hear your review first.
Mine?
Yep. Because as I said, it's pretty high on mine.
Okay. So,
I heard JR's, so I want to hear yours because it might go up a little bit more. I love talking to you guys about movies, and this is what helps our critique and our ratings. So you go first.
Okay, well, going in blind made this film even better than when it was, and even if you did see the trailer, like we mentioned before, you're still blind because it's not anything what you see within that trailer, which is fucking genius. Now, this film is completely different than other horror films because it keeps switching its identity as the movie goes along. Now, some people might not like that. They'd rather have a more straightforward, streamlined film that they could follow easily. But I respect the fact that the writer-director was all over the place in a good way.
Pulp Fiction.
Yes, absolutely. So
Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino
peeling those layers down.
The Pulp Fiction, like this was a Pulp Fiction horror movie.
When I first saw this, Frank, I did not know when when they found the old guy sitting in that bed. I didn't know that was Richard Brake. I had no idea that was the guy from the Flash. I didn't know that was Frank at all.
Yeah.
Because mind you, guys, when I first saw this again, this movie here, I was fucking nice as fuck, yo. So forgive me, but going again, spending time with it, you go back. Oh my god, you start clicking and putting everything together. I love it. Even the fact when it goes to the 80s scenes, the ratio of the widescreen changes to reflect the quality of the ratios from back in the 80s. A lot of people didn't catch that, but that is such a little tiny detail that's perfect to make those flashbacks even stand out even more compared to all the present scenes. So another nice touch by the director on that. And I also find it funny that Justin Long's character is being, and was Kim Masters was the one investigating him in his sexual abuse conducts. That's a real person. Like if you look, she outed so many Hollywood people during the Me Too movement.
Really?
Awesome. I think it was Time Magazine, I believe, but that all that legit. So they kept it in there. Pretty damn awesome. And Barbarian, yeah, there is no actual barbarians in this film, but if you want to look at the address, it shows that when she arrives, 476 Barbary Street, and the year 476 is when the barbarians first invaded Rome. So that's not why they call them word barbarian. That's the Easter egg. I still want to know why they called the barbarian officially, but that's a little thing thrown in there. Even though the director admits that's a coincidence. I didn't know about that. Really, bro?
He knew.
But yeah, again, I love it's unpredictable. Even though it is predictable in a sense because we've seen it before with the Hills Have Eyes, Wrong Turn, whatever you want to call the inbreds. But the way this was done, again, the top floors, a David Finch movie, the bottom floor is Evil Dead in the basement. Ah, man, I love it. I want some more. I'm going to give it a 4.5, like JR said, because it's not a perfect film. It's something you can always pick at shit. But the reason why it scores high for me is because it had balls. It did something completely different that you don't see in movies now. Not the story's original, but just the structure. It keeps you on your toes, and you're like always engaged. So that's my final score on it.
As I said, I enjoyed this movie. I have one critique, literally only one critique. Especially when we got into the flashback scenes, the way that it was shot, the elongated versions of it threw me out a little bit. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Watch it again, but it made everything look long. It threw me out.
Well, real quick before you go, the reason why I didn't give it a complete 5 is because what we talked about earlier. And as a core, it's not the most original film as far as what the content is, but it's just the way it got there, and it kept you engaged from beginning to end. I was never bored, and I was always like, "Oh my god, where's it going now?" So that's why I love the film. But again, if you're looking at the originality and stuff like that, we've seen stuff like this before. But that's not to say I love this film as a whole. When we saw it, we talked about it the whole ride home. How much we love this song.
Well, like I was trying to say, like
I know our opinion reflects yours. I wanted to put that out there. That's why I said that.
The only thing that threw me out in this movie was the shots of the past. When they made the cars look long, there was
because of the ratio. Yeah.
There was just it was just the way that it was shot. It was the only thing I didn't like. Yes, I made a reference to The Descent. I'm giving this a 5.
Yeah, dude.
I'm actually giving this a 5. I love the fucking Pulp Fiction of it. I love the you start with the story and then it stops, and then all of a sudden you're in Justin Long's section.
Yes.
And then it connects you to with what's her name again?
Tessa.
And then it stops, and then you're back in the past. I love this, but with like Trick or Treat and Bad Candy, where characters interconnect, these did not happen. They only connected in these points. So this movie was fucking bad.
Wow, I'm happy to hear that.
I know.
We saw before you, and I was like, I don't know how I was going to feel about this one.
Well, no, I know that JR is kind of known as a person who will be harsh on it. But when you two love a movie,
no, trust me,
it always somehow comes across that I'm the one that's going to hate it. But I actually had it at a 4.5. For as much as you guys loved it, it kept pushing. If you guys, especially Mr. Negative guy, JR. If JR would have gone negative, that's where I was waiting.
for us horror fans, creative, original horror is back. And I agree with him 100%. This year, you have seen a tremendous amount of creative horror outshine the characters we've seen before that came back from the past. So this year has been a great year for new type of horror, and I agree with him. And when I left the theater, I told Rick, I said, Rick, this is my number one so far this year. That's the first thing I said. This is my number one movie so far this year. I've been looking for one, and this gave everything I like about a horror movie. This did storyline, characters.
You were engaged
the
whole time.
The cinematography, we didn't talk about cinematography.
See, to me, you don't have to be the most original film.
No.
If you keep me engaged in the film and interested and not bored, bro, you got me. You fucking got me.
I thought that Justin Long character was a barbarian.
That's Conan. What are you talking about? As a barbarian?
Well, barbarian.
All right, break it down, Joe. Come on, brother.
Barbarian is somebody who's just willing to do whatever. Period.
Nah, that's definitely not him because he fucking threw that chick.
Justin Long was willing to do whatever.
Oh yeah, to save his ass.
Right. Justin Long was the barbarian here. Like, you know, he was willing to fight at the same time to do whatever, which involved going, here she is.
All right, with that being said, this is your review for Barbarian 2022. If you haven't seen this movie, definitely check it out. It's got great actors in it. Tessa, Black Mirror, Hang the DJ. And come on, man, it's got Richard Brake, the Night King. Come on, also
Justin Long, man.
Justin Long's been in everything. Of course, we all know who Bill Skarsgård is. Come on, man. So the cast is incredible in this film. Direction in this movie, the cinematography, the shots, everything about this movie clicked. Joe, you're gonna make me change my score from a 4.5 to a 5.
Are you doing it?
I'm doing it. I'm going for a 5.
Let's all do it. 5.
Let's all do it.
5.
You know why?
Barbarian.
It's not fair.
5.
I didn't give it a 5 because not that it lacked originality, but because we've seen a lot of the story beats before, but never integrated in a way that this movie was put together. And I think
he may have used other ideas, but he used it brilliantly to put this movie together.
That's it.
How's that?
That's it. I love the fact that you watch the poster, you can look at the title and the trailer, and you still don't know what the fuck you're getting into. And I love that shit, bro.
So here it is, 3 corners.
All right, with that being said, thank you for watching 3 Corners of Horror. This has been your Barbarian 22 review. Catch us next week. We never say this, but it's coming. VHS 99 will be up next. Watch that review. See what we think. Thanks for watching. I'm Ricky Grimes. We got JR. Joe the psychologist. The psychologist will be back. Thank you for watching. Catch us next week. Stay scared.